Oh, cool. Hey, everyone. How are you all doing today? Yeah, very good, thank you. I'm very good indeed. It's and we were just chatting off camera, just saying I had a bit of a stressful week this week with tearing the house apart. So no video this week, but just I've been tearing down conservatory and knocking walls down and refitting my garage and stuff. So although it looks calm on the surface, there's debris and chaos everywhere. Yeah. I can hear you perfectly. Who doesn't love a good live stream, eh? So Karl's just trying to sort out his audio at the moment for anyone who can't hear what he's saying. he can. I'm hearing him perfectly well, but it's just sorting out the IT gremlins. If anyone can hear any loud thumping coming from my microphone as well, it's because my children are going to bed. So it's usually absolute chaos this time of night. So I do apologise about that.
Okay, let's try now. Hi, Cross. Is the sound coming through?
I can still hear you, so it's
Ah, come on.
Yeah, campaigns rain. It's everything is all over my house. I've no idea where anything is. It's an absolute nightmare. Half the stuff is outside under a tarpaulin as well, so I really can't access anything. It's a nightmare.
Okay.
There you go. Looks like people can hear you, but you're quiet now.
Okay, I'll just try to talk a little louder then. Okay, sorry about that, folks. So hello again. Charlene, Earthman Brick, The End, Martin, and Campaign Terrain. Hope everyone's doing great. Yeah, it's a stream, so yeah. I guess I don't need this for now. No, actually I do, but I still have to hear James. Okay, so you were saying you were fixing up your place, yeah?
Yeah. We were just talking actually. Most of the all the hobby stuff I do is in my garage. So that's where all my workbenches are, that's where all my tools are, and that sort of stuff. So it's but in winter time, this last winter it got to about -1 in the garage. So I'm trying to 3D print with resin out there, and it gets a bit cold.
Yeah.
So it worked fine. Just up the exposure time, up the reduce the lift speed, and I managed to print everything. Didn't have too many failed prints, but it's a bit cold, that. So we've insulated the whole lot and made the workshop a bit smaller and put in like a washroom, so we can do adult things like have a washing machine and things like that. So yeah, fun week.
Yeah, I can imagine. So thanks for taking time to join us today.
My pleasure. It's always fun.
So wanted to talk to you about some of the things that you've been making videos about, basically, because you've got a lot of material about painting, obviously, and motivation, and also mental health and stuff like that.
Exactly.
What would you like to pick at first?
Yeah, cool. So it's I guess I'm a bit of a magpie when it comes to videos. I like making videos about things I like to talk about, which is not surprising, I suppose. But it's I like to talk about painting, but I like to talk about what inspires me. So maybe it's a technique I learned that gets me super hyped that I've learned to do, so I want to share with people, or maybe it's a product I've found that I really love and I want to share that, or it might just be I've watched a cool YouTube video and that's really motivated me to think about something differently. So the last video I did was about motivation, and I watched basically watched a video called the locus of effect, which is all about controlling the things that can basically, if you take control of stuff, then you're more likely to be motivated as a result of it. So, for example, you can find it super stressful and super demotivating if, for example, you are looking at Instagram, seeing loads of amazing painters on there who are unable to replicate what they do. But actually, if you're able to take control of that situation by sort of just focusing down on one small technique that you can improve on, you're more likely to be motivated because, for example, you focus on edge highlighting or something like that. You can go and look at the heavy metal painters and look at their edge highlighting and look at them and go, I'm never going to be that good. And that can be super demotivating. Or you can look at that and then focus on your last model and then practice just edge highlighting for a couple of hours, and then you'll get better and think, oh yeah, that's more motivating. So it was around that. It's a super interesting topic. If you haven't seen the video, go and check it out. But Google the locus of effects. I just spent about 2 weeks disappearing down a little rabbit hole of watching YouTube videos, Wikipedia, reading scientific articles, all that sort of stuff. So yeah, all sorts of stuff. Yeah, I talk about all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, and you've also got a very good video about the imposter syndrome,
Yeah,
which I thought was
exactly.
excellent.
Yeah, well, outside of hobby, I'm a director of a mental health charity. So it's mental health is something I like to talk about anyway. It's a big passion of mine. I've suffer most people struggle with mental health in one way or another. I sort of have dips and troughs and come and go, and some days are great and some days are pretty awful. And I talk about that fairly openly in the channel. So it's nothing I'm particularly worried about sharing. But yeah, I really like making topics on mental health, and the comments I get are, usually people are pleased to watch the videos. You often get comments like, "Oh, I've just found this video. It made a real difference to my day. Thank you very much," which is great. That's the whole reason of doing all of this, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And it's also important because in many cases, like, okay, I'm not the only person who is feeling this or thinking about this or whatever.
Yeah, exactly that. It's amazing how many. Well, I've done it too. To be fair, it's amazing how often you can sit there and think, well, actually, maybe I'm just weird. Is nobody else? Everyone else seems to be fine. Look at all these people posting happy photos on Instagram. They've clearly got their lives together, and it's not true in any way. Everyone's a complete weirdo in their own way. So, like I say, hopefully, if I can share some of the stuff that sort of make me weird, then other people will maybe catch on and think, oh yeah, me too. They may just think, wow, that guy's really weird, but either way, that's mine.
Yeah, most weird is good. Let's put it that way.
I think so. It's, someone just Pulp Atelier,
Pulp Atelier, yes.
just said in the chat as well. Haven't seen a whole lot of videos yet, but they're interesting and well produced. Thank you very much. It's that's really kind of you to say that. It's I just look at them and think, oh, I can see all the things I did wrong and all the various bits and pieces I didn't quite get the timing right on. It's that's really nice of you to say so. Thank you.
Okay, I see that Dungeon Mate also joined us. Hi, Lisa. Yeah, I think that's something that happens to me even while I'm editing the videos and after I post them, and if I happen to watch them again, or if I pick up something again, because like, what was I doing?
Oh, I know. I hate watching my old videos back. I purposefully leave some of the old ones on there just so I can go back and go, ugh, it's horrific. but yeah, no, indeed. But again, we talk about that in imposter syndrome. One of the sort of the standout things I remember about researching that video was imposter syndrome gets more and more likely the better you get at something. Yeah. So the better you think that you'd be effective with imposter syndrome, you wouldn't think like, Picasso being particularly effective with imposter syndrome, or, someone incredible. But actually, the better you get, the more likely you are to think that you're a fraud or you don't belong, because, you're just constantly raising the bar for yourself. So it never goes away, sadly. You just have to learn to deal with it.
Yeah, I can imagine. Like if you're looking at something that you did 5-6 years ago, and you've had 5-6 years of practice learning how to improve on that in the meantime, it is going to be very. You're going to start spotting. I could have done this better. I could have done that better.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny because sometimes I look back at my old models and stuff like that and think, "Oh, I did that really well." I'm still really proud of, even though I can see the technical things. I'm still really proud of the models, but equally, it's more likely to be the stuff I'm painting right now, right in the moment, that I look at and go, "Ah, it's atrocious. It looks awful. It looks awful." And then, yeah, you just have to power through, don't you? You get into that ugly phase of a model.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Making it through that phase is the hardest bit, I think.
The ugly phase, and I know a lot of beginners often get stuck there because they think, okay, I ruined this. There's no way this is going to improve.
Yeah, exactly that. It's like I was hobbying with my wife yesterday. She wasn't painting miniatures or anything. She was doing some cross stitch, and she was trying some new stuff, and it wasn't working basically. And she was just doing some edges and stuff like that. And she was just like, "Oh, this is just looking awful." And she's putting so much time and effort into it. And it's like so it's the same parallel. It's just you just got to plow through and keep plugging away at it, and just eventually it'll come good, or it won't. It'll just fail utterly. But you know, it's who knows? But yeah, I think it's the same across the board, really.
Yeah, I mean, a skill is a skill at the end. A skill is a skill is a skill at the end of the day.
100%, exactly that. It's I'm always envious of someone who can do anything really well. That's
Speaking of doing things really well, if you guys have any work you'd like to show off in the stream later, I'm going to drop the Discord link in the chat. Boom. So you're mentioning hobbying with your wife just now. Does your wife also paint or do stuff, or you just hang around doing different hobbies?
Not really. I've tried to get her involved in it. She's not really interested, to be honest. She's very happy with whatever I'm doing. No, she doesn't. She's very supportive of all the little plastic toys and all that sort of stuff, and the YouTube channel. And I have to say, YouTube takes up far more time than painting these days. I have to say, but it's Fee, my wife is called Fee. She is really supportive of the whole hobby. We'll play board games together. Pandemic just there. So we'll play board games together, and you know, I've played Battletech with her. She's played games with me on that sort of front, more from a sense of duty and because I've badgered her into it, rather than because, you know, it's her first love. And she has painted models, and she's really talented at it. But no, it's not her first love. But then again, I don't do a huge amount of crocheting or cross stitch or baking and that sort of stuff, which she loves. So it's I think it's okay to have different things, but we sort of hobby together, but doing different things in the same room. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. I mean, I tend to bunker down when I'm painting, because it's like, okay, I'm focusing on this 1-inch piece of plastic, and I'm not really paying attention to the rest of the universe.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Hobbying with other people isn't really my thing, but that's nice. And I mean, it's healthy to have different interests.
I agree, and like I say, I do. I try to do a lot of painting with my kids as well. So it's my kids are 5 and 7. He says, trying to remember. They're really enthusiastic but terrible, basically. So and well, that's fine. But so I usually try, whenever I'm trying to do things with them, I can't do. I'm not going to sit there and, you know, grind away at some non-metallic metal for, you know, a competition piece while I'm painting with my kids. I just can't concentrate. I can't get in the zone. But I will often do things like, I don't know, base coating, blocking in some basic highlights, you know, just simple sort of monotonous stuff I can just pick up, put down as and when. It doesn't matter, because inevitably, you know, you're in the middle of something and then they'll knock over a cup, and then you'll have to go and like hurriedly clean up the acrylic paint from the carpet or whatever. And it's just, you know, so it's all about just, you know, making it work no matter what. Just like I say, spending that working in amongst your life, because everyone's busy, everyone's doing their own different things, aren't they? So it's just trying to make it fit in, I think. It's, I don't know, I'd be interested to know in the chat actually whether people do hobby with spouses or family, and if it's their the hobby is sort of like their safe space they go and retreat into. I'd be interested to know. I use it as a bit of both.
Okay, hello Zane from Zane Morgan Crafts, nice to see you. And Dungeon Matron is saying, that's the main reason I don't have my own YouTube channel. All you crafters are so much better than me, and almost everything I do has already been done. Well, first of all, yeah, a YouTube channel is a massive time sink. So yeah, I agree with that.
100%. How long do you spend editing a week, just out of interest?
Editing and stuff like that?
Yeah.
I generally try to pack it into one session, so maybe I've 3 hours for a 5-minute video.
Okay, yeah. That's pretty good then. To be fair, it's, I say I'm normally 8-10 hours, something like that for a video, something like that. I think the longest time I've ever spent editing a single video is over 50 hours. So it's horrific. absolutely horrific.
What were you doing? Post-production and credits and...
No, that was an interview I did with Jason from Monument Hobbies, and it was an hour and a half interview. But it may surprise you to know this: the technology went wrong. So
oh, really?
So yeah, on the voice chat. So basically, all my audio was cut, and I didn't have a chance to do the video again. So basically, I had to go through the entire 2-hour-long interview, edit it and cut out the relevant bits, but then also re-record my audio. So I had to work out what I said, and then write it all down, then re-record it in a way that made sense. It was horrific, absolutely horrific.
Yeah, that sounds painful.
It was pretty painful. It's a good video though. Please go and watch that if just for sympathy. That's yeah.
Okay, and about what Dungeon Matron was saying here about almost everything I do has already been done. Yes, but I mean, I was watching a video by Jordy Crafts or Jordy Make. I'm not sure. It's
I watched that too. The one where she made the diorama.
Yeah, the one where she's making the wire trees.
Yeah,
and I was like, okay, it's 20. I've been making wire trees for 25 years. I could never make wire trees beyond a certain size. And that's what I was doing wrong. Okay.
Exactly. I think there's so many different ways to do it. It's and even if you're sort of redoing old topics as well, there's always your own slant you can put on it. It all comes down to how you edit it, how you produce it. You know, if you're in any way interested about making videos, I would say have a crack at it and see if you enjoy it. Because I think the process of editing is my favorite bit about it, to be honest with you, about YouTube. The posting and the social scrutiny is it can be quite intense. I don't enjoy that bit as much, but it's and the chasing followers and chasing subscribers isn't the most healthy of attitudes, maybe. But it's but yeah, no, definitely, I love all that sort of stuff. That's
but
no, I would definitely say give it a go if you've not had a go. It's you don't need any fancy equipment or anything. Just
phone.
My first videos were on my phone, and nothing more than that really.
Yeah, and just be prepared. Treat it as a whole different hobby because it's its own time sink, and if you start liking it, you're going to go down a different rabbit hole.
Oh, 100%. So I mean, like for example, I will start off by working out titles and thumbnails for the video, working out topics, and then I'll script the whole thing. And then obviously there's whatever I'm painting or making or doing, all that sort of stuff, so all the research that goes beyond it before you've even done the video. Then you have to take all your hours of footage and chop them down into 5 minutes and then talk over it and say something relevant. It's a big thing, but it's fun though. It's like I say, it's a completely different hobby, but it's fun.
Okay, so the end is saying, I wish I knew anyone that also hobbies. As my girlfriend I always thought of as an artistic, has not shown interest in Warhammer. Maybe I need to try another IP. Yeah, I mean, you don't.
I think there's different ways,
but at the same time,
yeah, I think there's different ways you can approach that. Because I quite. This is going to sound super pretentious. I quite like the artistic side of Warhammer. I'm not really into the gaming side as much. I like follow lots of painters who literally just paint commission pieces or do like statement art pieces and make dioramas and sort of stuff. So if I'm a huge fan of a guy called Roman Lepat, who's just an absolutely incredible artist, and he just makes these incredible like emotional pieces, and they're just incredible. So maybe that's the way to get your girlfriend involved. Sort of say, just don't paint a miniature, make an art piece instead. It's just a 3D canvas. Maybe sell it that way.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, I might be confusing him with someone else, but I think he does these painted busts, which are just with the
exactly
textures and the shading. That's just magnificent.
Oh yeah, I mean, almost everything he does is absolutely incredible. He also runs the mini blog Massive Voodoo, so you might have come across that too. So yeah, no, he's a really phenomenal bloke. But it's
I think he's a professional artist, if I remember correctly. I mean, like it's 100%.
He is. he mainly does. He's a professional, so he does weekend shoot seminars every week. He's doing seminars, private seminars, and that sort of stuff. I'm hopefully hosting him in the UK next year, which is going to be incredible. So it's I want to say official details to come, but probably May 23. I'll be hosting a painting workshop for about 15 people, something like that. But yeah, and he's absolutely he's an incredible guy. So it's if you ever get a chance to, definitely go and attend some in-person painting classes as well. I absolutely love them. The Roman did this amazing series on tiny little astronauts, like maybe 10 millimeter tall astronauts, and basically probably made about 50 dioramas of these astronauts doing different things, and they were all incredible. Just all of them were incredible. Just love them. So it's Roman Lepat, definitely check him out. Yeah, a few people have said they've seen him on the chat as well. That's cool.
Okay, and Earthman Brick is saying the longest time editing was the Transformer Solar video. Spent several days editing it, and I loved it.
Yeah, it's like some sort of illness. YouTube, I think it becomes obsessional trying to get everything. But you can just pour your entire life into it, and it never ends. It's fun though.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And if you start to get into filming, I mean, like Luke from Geek Gaming Seniors just put up a video about how to film and manage the camera and so on.
Yeah.
And if you don't have a cameraman, that's pretty good. But again, it's a lot of working out tricks and techniques and so on.
Yeah, absolutely. And Luke's amazing at sharing lots of advice with people as well. He's really generous with it. So it's I've not watched that video yet, but I'll definitely check it out. Normally it's just me sort of strapping my camera to over here or over there, or over, trying to get different angles, and just spend half my life moving that stupid camera around my office. So.
Hello, Robert, joining us, Robert Evans. So, other than filming and painting, you mentioned you don't do a lot of Warhammer gaming, but I think you really picked up on Battletech recently.
Yeah, exactly. It's I was talking earlier about I like, because I'm quite busy. So I run a charity. I have a tour business that I run as well. So I do that on the weekends. I edit a YouTube channel. I've got 2 young children, school going, etc. I've got lots going on. So basically I go to the gym 3 or 4 times a week. And so I find myself having, maybe I've got an hour here or an hour there, or I don't often have a full day to myself ever. So that doesn't happen. So I find engaging in games like, 40K or just games in general where I have to invest a lot of time learning rules quite challenging. So I don't know if that's the same for other people or not. But I found with Battletech, I was able to, even though it's quite involved, it's basically just lots and lots of charts. So it's relatively simple to pick up because you don't have to remember any of the information. It's all just there in front of you, and you basically need a total of 4 models, 2 for you and 2 for your opponent, to play a game. You can play it on your desk, on your table, and you can literally just jump straight in, play, and you're done. It's great. You pick it up, put it down, pick it up, put it down. That's exactly my sort of game. So it's I'm exactly the same when I'm playing computer games as well. And it's like I love games like Left 4 Dead, which are just pick up and play games rather than just grinding for weeks and weeks and weeks sort of games. I just don't have the time to invest in that sort of stuff. Well, that's my excuse anyway. But it's so Battletech I really bought into because the time investment was a lot lower. I found engaging in 40K was becoming more and more difficult. But then I started diving into the lore, and the lore's incredible. And, I just really resonated with it. So giant robots firing guns and lasers at each other. It's slightly more set in the far future, but relatable sci-fi. It's almost modern era. You can almost see yourself doing it, rather than 40K, which is it's basically like space fantasy, which is cool. I don't mind that at all. But it's it's just it's a different setting, but it's just as deep and just as evolved. And like I say, the rule set hasn't changed for 30 years, so it's you can jump in with old timers and it's still the same rules. Yeah, it's just the only thing that changes in BattleTech is the timeline, which is fun. Yeah. So yeah, no, I'm enjoying making BattleTech videos and that sort of stuff. Hopefully, my first attempts at a battle report are going to be coming soon. So it's that's going to be a massive edit, but it's I'm just going to get a window to be able to do that. So, but yeah, I'm hoping to be able to get a battle report done soon because that's something I really want to do.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting.
Yeah, no, definitely. So it's, and I've got so many mechs and stuff to paint up. It's ridiculous.
Okay, so we go from saying that you only need about 4 mechs, and
you do.
I've got a horde of
need 4 mechs. You only need 4 mechs, but then again, you only need 5 paints, and I've got about 200. So you know, it's, like I say, it's enormous.
That's fair. Okay, Campaign Terrain is saying longest I ever spent editing was about 8 hours, with breaks in between. I don't remember the video. And Dungeon Matron is saying, I must say, this does not encourage me to start a YouTube channel.
Yeah, don't let us put you off. Maybe do like a talking head lore video or something like that. They seem easier. I bet that I know for a fact they're not actually, because you have to do quite a lot of research. But if you know a lot about stuff, find something you know lots and lots and lots about, and then make videos about that. That's what I would say. If you have to spend your time researching, that's what I'll eat your time. But yeah, so what are you making at the moment, Karl? What's on your hobby desk at the moment?
Okay, so right now about 3 things. There's something I'm working on with Dungeon Miser, which I actually need to start. I've just been planning it out in my head, so I'm not sure if that counts as being on my hobby desk or not.
Yeah, if it's up here, it's okay. That's in your imaginary hobby desk.
Okay, then I'm building a piece for the Tabletop Crafters Guild build. Okay, so basically the prompt for this month is floating terrain, so planning to do a little floating island with a little tower on it.
Oh, cool. Okay, yeah.
Okay, the trick there will be disguising the supports.
Yes. Yeah, I've yet to find a convincing way to do that. And I quite like the way Games Workshop do it, with you have like the tip of a cape touching the floor, and that's supporting the whole model and that sort of stuff. That's kind of a neat way.
To be honest, I did a couple of experiments first. First, trying some a integrity setup where you've got strings under tension holding up the whole thing. It's a bit tricky to calculate it, and it limits you to a certain configuration. So no. Then I tried with magnets, but it's a lot of effort, and it's only going to lift it up a couple of millimeters. And yeah, so what I'm going to do basically is trying to make it look like it's not resting on the thing, pretty much like the cape you mentioned.
Yeah. I love the magnet idea. If you got like some really strong magnets, it was like it was like a globe. You have those like floating rocks you used to be able to get like on like, and they literally just sit there and just gently spin. Do you know the ones I'm talking about?
Yeah.
If you did like a hobby version of one of those, that's really cool.
There are kits on Amazon which you can buy, but again, sort of effort for a little piece.
Yeah. No, exactly that. No, tell me about it.
Plus, it depends. I mean, if you're going to use it in play and you put miniatures in it or something, then it might not work. It might get too heavy for the whole thing. Yeah,
it's interesting, isn't it? See, I say most of the stuff I make is I basically just put it on the shelf and then look at it. The only stuff I actually play with I've got a little bit of Warhammer, and then I've got my Battletech mechs, and my Battletech mechs I paint to tabletop standard. Bosh, done. Chuck them out and game with them. The rest, if I want to paint something properly, I wouldn't game with it basically. But it's
Okay, Robert Evans is saying editing and the tech is what stops me. I think vlog or live streams are for me. Yeah.
Again, I would say there's really advanced editing software out there that you can get for free. So if you don't like DaVinci Resolve, you can download for free. If you've got a half decent gaming computer, it'll be able to run DaVinci Resolve, which you can download for free, and that's as powerful as any other editing software you can get. And then after that, if you use an iPhone or like a decent, any decent smartphone, that's basically all the tech you need. Maybe a Lavalier mic you can get for a tenner, and then you're basically golden from there. Then the rest is all just about lighting and what you do with it. He says wisely. I don't know.
Okay, at the end is saying, I recently started posting pictures shot on my iPhone on Instagram, and one of my friends reached out to me to tell me that I need a new camera.
Yeah, again, I think it's how you take the photos. Midwinter Minis did an amazing video about how to take photos with your just your iPhone, which is the short version of which is basically frame it properly, light it really well, and then basically adjust the brightness. So basically just crush the brightness a little bit, and then that add a vignette to it, and then bosh, done.
Yeah, I'd say
Post it on Instagram. They always look good from there. Most of the photos I post on Instagram are my phone rather than my MDSLR.
Yeah, I own all the photos I post are from my phone because that's the only camera I really have.
Yeah, exactly that. So you don't need a super posh camera.
But yeah, 90% of the work is the lighting really. If you get it lit up correctly.
Yeah, I agree. As long as it's lit properly. Too much lighting's a little bit better than too little lighting as well, I would say.
Yeah,
but it's as long as it's not, like lit like the sun. Then you're probably okay. But it's
Okay, Zayn is saying, I love editing so much that my videos stay in editing. Yeah, they do, don't they?
yeah. Well, you do eventually have to post them. It's definitely a problem. So yeah, it's no, I'm doing a fun little thing at the moment where I've sort of half got the idea that I'm going to enter Golden Demon this year. I'm not expecting. I'm not that good, but I really want to enter and just to see. I thought that'd be a fun thing to do.
When is that?
So Roman Lepat's got this thing where he's putting things in photo frames. So I ordered this photo frame off eBay, and I've always wanted to make Sanguinius, so I'm mocking up a Sanguinius, and I'm making him. So it's at the moment it's some Sigvold with some sanded legs and some 3D printed wings and etc. So I'm sort of piecing him together.
Okay.
But yeah, and I'm having a lot of fun doing that at the moment. But
so we're going to use a conversion, so making a conversion of it, or are you going to get the final the official mini, or what?
So I'm not going to get the official mini. I'm going to make a conversion of it. So it's definitely going to be based on Sigvold. I'm probably not going to use those wings because you're not allowed to use 3D printed parts unless you completely make them yourself with the Golden Demon. I think maybe someone else in the chat can let me know about that. So I might end up using. They're not quite as pretty, but Indastra. I don't know if you can see that. So it's so Indastra's got pretty nice wings. So I might buy myself a version of Indastra and then use her wings instead with a bit of modelling. But I've got a lot of conversion to do.
Yeah,
so I've got to make everything from his sword to his spear to changing the arms to putting new parts on insignias, everything. So lots of green. It's called putty. Yeah, green stuff. Thank you. Yeah, lots of green stuff and lots of swearing and lots of stabbing it with a paintbrush, and we'll see what happens. I've got grand plans at the moment, but at the moment it's just grey, so we will see how far those plans go.
Okay, I think if you try to use milliput instead of green stuff, I think it might be easier for some parts. I mean, if you're doing details like fixing up a face or something like that.
Yeah.
You really want to use green stuff, but.
So yeah, I'll probably. I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet. I will probably some of the stuff like the spear. and the swords and stuff like that. I'll probably use Sculpey or something like that to make. But I'll have to make those independently because you have to oven bake it. And if you oven bake plastic, obviously it just
that's not going to work.
that's a bad thing. And then the green stuff, I'll probably use green stuff or milliput. I'm not sure yet. Like I say, I'm not very good at it, but hey, I'll have a go and we'll see what happens. In the end, I'll probably get 2 months of trying to make it myself and then go and buy Sanguinius. But who knows?
Nah, come on, you got this.
Yeah, we'll see.
So when is that again? When is the Golden Demon?
I think Golden Demon's October. So I should have just about enough time. I'm expecting the paint job to take 80, 90 hours, something like that. But it'll probably take me longer because I'm not that good at painting, and to get it anywhere close to a standard that won't just be embarrassing for those cabinets will just take me such a long time. So, but we'll see how it goes. Like I said, the point isn't I'm not expecting to go and win Golden Demon. I'm expecting to enter and have something I'm proud of and just do it for the experience, and we'll see where that goes. Like I say, I'm a big one for encouraging you to just have a go. Like I say, what's the worst that can happen? You'll fail.
Totally.
Move on. You'll learn something about that.
I mean, it's not like you're going to lose something if you don't win. That's the whole thing, yeah.
Exactly that.
And just have a cool picture frame at the end of the day. So.
Exactly. And eventually that picture frame will hopefully go on my wall and I'll be looking at it and go, oh, there's my Golden Demon piece. And then who knows? Hey, don't get me wrong, I'd love to win Golden Demon, but it's not gonna happen. That's fine. It's important to set realistic goals.
I mean, speaking of realistic goals, I think one of the primary demotivators, when people say I can never paint that well or whatever, is when people see something painted up to a really high standard, and then they think they need to apply that standard to an entire army or set or collection or whatever.
Yeah, exactly that. And I do that all the time, absolutely all the time. It's like there's one of the good things about having Battletech. One of the decisions I made right at the beginning was like, I am not going to try and paint this like a show army. It's not a show army. It's just a gaming army. I'm just going to have fun. So I'm going to paint them all in. I've not spent more than an hour and a half on any of my models, and they are fine. And some people have said, "Oh, they're really nicely painted," and some people haven't, and that's fine. And I play with them, and that's good. I started painting some Stormcast when Dominion was released. Whenever that was, and I've got one squad of finished Stormcast Eternals, which are painted to a decent standard, and all the rest have completely stalled because I just can't face painting anymore. And it's just so yeah. I will finish them, but trying to paint everything to a high standard just takes a lot of time, and it's not the way to get stuff done quickly. I'm not a quick painter by any stretch, so it's there's always the chance to go back and fiddle, and it's nothing ever gets finished, and you've got to cut it off and move on.
That's something that I can't get used to. I'm like, finish this finished, and then I tend not to go back and touch stuff up again.
Yeah.
But I mean, I can see the benefit of okay, paint it up to this level, go back, paint it up to this level, and so on.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've gone back, and some of those Battletech models that I've really enjoyed, I've gone back and touched up again because I've had to spare half an hour, and I've gone back in and I've put all the edge highlighting on and done all the cockpits and just added little details and stuff like that. Or I've gone back in on some other models and like that I've done a long time ago and just touch bits up, which is just you know what it's like when you're painting something and you do it to a standard. It looks all right, but then you do those fine little details and it just makes the whole thing look the next level. That's yeah, and stuff you were painting 5 years ago, you're better. Yeah, I imagine you're better now than you were 5 years ago. So you can just go and apply that new knowledge to your old models. There's nothing wrong with going back and touching stuff up.
And at the end of the day, it's just paint. You can remove it and do it again.
This is it. It's, I don't tend to strip minis very much, actually, to be honest with you. I tend to just paint over it. But it's eventually the paint will get so thick they'll have to I'll have to remove it all. But it's
Yeah, I mean, I keep one of my earliest painted miniatures over on my desk, so I can remember that.
yeah, cool.
And that's
Is it a little
basically
orc?
yeah, and it's basically about a millimeter of enamel paints on it. So
Oh, awesome. Is it a hero quest?
it's from a German board game, the Black Eye.
Okay, cool. Nice.
So
it's,
yeah, that was painted 20 years ago. I didn't even know what acrylic was. In fact, I just basically threw enamel all over it.
I don't know if I've got any of my really old stuff on here. It's, I've got stuff I painted when I was 14 and 15. Hold on. That's oh, that one's old actually. Yes. So you can see this guy. That's an old school chaos dreadnought. So basically, my modus operandi painting my cursed army was paint everything corn red, then coat it all with chestnut ink, and then do all the details in brazen brass. Done. It's, and that was the whole thing. And I thought it looked absolutely mint. It clearly didn't. It clearly didn't look mint. But it's I adored it. So I keep a few of those knocking around, just like I say. As a reminder, now I think it's cool to look back on just how far you've come, maybe.
How do you feel about playing with unpainted models?
I don't personally. I mean, I don't know. If I needed to play a game and I only had unpainted models, I would play with unpainted models. I'm pragmatic like that. I would choose to paint with painted models, to play with painted models. But if someone came along and wanted to play a game and they only had unpainted models, fine, I don't care. I've got an imagination. I can imagine what painted models look like. I'm not worried. That's fine. I'll just imagine them painted. In fact, I can probably do that with my models and imagine them painted well. And that's fine. So, I'm not that fussed. I think if you're entering a competition and the rules say you have to have painted models, then you've got to have painted models. That's down to the competition.
Is a different story.
I think so. But if you're playing with friends, you set the rules. I'm not a big fan of rules in general, to be honest with you. I'm a big fan of I'll for example, when we're playing Battletech, we'll play on hexless mats. Which so all my videos of playing any battle, you'll see me playing on mats without hexes on, and technically Battletech Classic you have to know hex mats, and that upsets people because you use measuring tapes. But it's no different really. You just got to read the rules before you go into it. As long as the two people you're playing against know the rules, it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
that's my take on it anyway. It upsets a lot of people, the purists. The people who are very rules focused. If you're that way inclined, I can see why that would bother you. I've got several friends, for example, who need to follow the rules because that's how the game is played, and that's how they derive their enjoyment from following the rules. So it lowers their enjoyment by me changing things. So I can completely get behind that, and I'll follow the rules then. So it's all about dialogue between who you're playing with, and set the ground rules first.
In my case, grids are a question of aesthetics. Whatever I build terrain for, I do not put grids in because I don't like them. But I can see why some people might want them for a particular game and so on.
Yeah, no, definitely that. I can. It does. I think having the right terrain around really helps suspend disbelief as well. So it's one at my local gaming shop when we're playing, they've got so much terrain. I mean, they're a terrain manufacturing company, so I play I play at Foreground, so it's which is literally just down the road, about 15 minutes down the road from me, which I'm really lucky about. And so they make lots of MDF terrain. It's great. But they've got playing on these cityscape terrain boards, and you've got like skyscrapers and buildings, and all this sort of stuff going on, and it's great. It's so cool to play on. Whereas when I'm playing at home, I've got, you know, my terrain is books and toilet rolls, and it's fine, but it's not the same. It's not the same.
Yeah, I remember when I started playing with some friends when I was 16 and stuff. There was always that point in the game, like, look, is this beer a mountain or is it your drink?
Yeah, exactly that. Exactly that.
But I mean, as long as you're having fun, details.
That's it. At the end of the day, you're sat in a room with some friends, maybe having a beer, but essentially just playing with plastic toys. So if you take it too seriously, then it's you're doing it wrong, in my opinion. But that's just my opinion. At the end of the day, if you know, like I say, some people love to take it seriously, and that's fine.
Yeah, but then again, I noticed, for example, people who take the game very seriously do not enjoy playing against me, and vice versa, because it's like,
yeah, exactly, because you're not going to be compatible, so you're both not going to be enjoying it, so you won't play. That's it. Yeah, exactly that. Sorry, just someone's just come up in the chat. Campaigns range, she said, sucks. Foreground is shutting down. So Foreground, I know the guys at Foreground quite well, and Foreground is closing down. They're closing down having a bit of a rethink of all the lines. So everything's shutting down in that sense. However, their gaming stores and their other companies, they have 3 or 4 other companies. So, for example, Foreground's sister company makes all the wooden games and plastic sword and wooden swords you can buy in all the National Trust museums. So all that business is still running and all that sort of stuff. So they're just having a massive reorg of the company. So it's the gaming shop and all that sort of stuff's carrying on running. So yeah, it's all in turmoil, but all the team behind it are actually, they're really happy with what's going on, and it's sad, but it's, you know, it's being managed. That's as much as I know at that point. So sorry, someone's just jumped in with that.
no, it's actually it's really good to know. I mean, it's not like okay, the whole thing imploded. It's
yeah, I think they've got some. They were saying they had something like, you know, 7,000 or 8,000 product lines. So, and lots of it was, you know, licensed, and it was just it's only a tiny team. There's less than, you know, I think there's less than 10 people who work in the organization. It was just absolutely killing them. So, and it wasn't making it anyway. You know, there's no reason to go into any more details than that, but it's just they're just taking a break and working out what to do and that sort of stuff. So it's I'm sure they'll be back in some sort of format or another, but I don't know more than that really.
I hope it works out well for them, but it does seem that they needed that slowdown.
Yeah, definitely that. It was just too much for small guys to go. But yeah, no, the Earthman Brick just pops up in the chat saying time again for filming the remaining orders. I believe that's what's happening at the moment. Like I say, I've got nothing to do with them other than the fact I play games at their shop, really. So it's but yeah, time again. I think we're fulfilling the remaining orders. I think they've still got some product lines on their website you can go on. I think they've still got discounts on there. But they've been since they announced they've been closing down. I think they've been absolutely inundated with orders. So they're trying to work their way through and fulfill all those. And then once that's done, it'll be done. So it's yeah.
Great, everyone saying good to know and looks in wallet.
Yeah, that's always the risk.
Yeah, I mean, there are plenty of threats to the finances running around in this hobby.
So many, yeah.
Yeah, all hobbies, to be honest, I think it's not particularly compared to some other stuff.
Oh no, tell me about it. I've literally just backed Chimera. Have just finished doing a Kickstarter, so I've literally just backed the latest Chimera Kickstarter, and that was, you know, 150 quid, and then, you know, Scale 75. We've got another Kickstarter launching. The Heresy box is out at the end of this month. It's just relentless, absolutely relentless. So.
Yeah, I stopped looking at Kickstarter a while ago. Just
it's probably pretty sensible.
Too much.
I sort of it's one of the problems with being, it's like I like to review products on the channel. So, but unless you get in there right at the beginning, it's, as someone was saying earlier, you know, everyone's done the video, so you don't get any traction out of it. So it's I like to have at least some products going on which are new and interesting and that sort of stuff. So, but yeah, but it's a real pressure to sort of like keep up.
Yeah.
So you just got to be realistic in what you can afford and not put yourself under too much pressure, I think.
And if it's
I might make a video about that
releases,
too.
you need that early access.
Yeah, I think that's right.
You do quite a lot of work with Chimera paints, yeah?
Yeah, I do. I've chatted to them several times. I'll have a couple of interviews. I've done one little bit of an interview with Francesco, who's the art director of Chimera, and he's a really interesting bloke. I mean, he's he as well as being the art director at Chimera, he founded he's one of the founders of the Monte San Savino, which is like the pinnacle miniature painting show. He's he's multiple Golden Demon winning, Crystal Brush winning. He's an incredible painter.
What's the Monte San Savino again?
Monte San Savino is a basically it's a smaller show than Golden Demon. Think of it like Golden Demon, but for the really elite miniature painters.
Right.
That's sort of how it is. You know, basically, it's the highest. If you're in that sort of like tiny little bubble of really incredible miniature painters, winning a Monte San Savino is like the equivalent of winning, you know, like a Crystal Brush. So yeah, it's or like a Slayer sword or something like that. It's just a really high level miniature painting competition. But yeah, no, they've so I do quite a lot with Chimera paints. I really enjoy them, to be fair. They're not everyone's bag. But I quite enjoy this. It's quite cathartic mixing paints and making up your own stuff. And I'm a bit of a pigment nerd, so I like researching different pigments and, you know, their histories. And it's one of the things I fall to sleep to at night. I probably shouldn't admit to this, to be fair. Is I just listen. I've got an audiobook about pigments and just like their histories and, you know, how colours were used through the, you know, for example, the colour lead white has been made for like 3,000 years. And it's, yeah, and the way they make it was perfected all the way through the ancient Egyptian period. And, just incredible stuff like that. Like titanium white, the stuff we paint with is, you know, the same pigment they use in road markings is the same pigment they use in toothpaste.
Yeah.
So yeah, I forget what the pigment pigment. So that's zinc, titanium. So yeah, the titanium PW6. That's it. Yeah, the pigment PW6 is the same. That white colouring is used in all sorts of stuff, crazy stuff. And there's sorry, I'm sidetracking a little bit now, but there's a really cool little rake pigment called cochineal red, I think it is. And it's that red pigment makes an amazing red pigment in paint and dyes and that sort of stuff. But it's also the same red they use up until very recently in strawberry frappuccinos in Starbucks and all sorts of different red velvet cakes. But they'll when they use them in foods, they'll call them E numbers. So they're often the same chemical. They're often the same things. So it's crazy. I love that sort of stuff. I geek out on pigments a lot.
Yeah, I don't really know much about pigments except the more toxic ones,
like cadmium red and that sort of stuff, or like sort of lead white is another really good example. Yeah. So it's
So just 1 second. The cadmium colors don't use cadmium anymore. Yeah?
Yeah, almost all pigments are basically synthetic now. So some are more toxic than others. So they're basically synthetically created in labs. So whereas stuff like, you know, the way they used to make blue was by grinding up, you know, lapis lazuli, which is mined in places like Afghanistan. But these days they'll make synthetic colors. So a lot of them are based from oil industries and this sort of stuff. So like aniline colors and that sort of stuff, and but it's amazing the amount. So for example, by splitting oils and doing different things with them, like literally crude oil, you can make things like bright greens, and bright yellows, and bright reds, and it's just crazy. I don't understand a lot of the chemistry behind it, but it's pretty cool. Some of the history and the way it was often invented was, you know, like blokes in their bedrooms with, you know, practicing alchemy, and then they found something would get knocked over on the shelf and make a cool color, and that's how they made, I don't know, one of the like some of the yellow pigments and the green pigments, like indigo. That's how indigo was invented. The color indigo, which is how you dye jeans, was invented by I forget the guy's name, but it was in the 19th century. A guy was doing some experiments and basically developed the color. Developed color indigo, which is pretty incredible. Mauve was invented in the same way. It's
guys
I love pigment.
randomly experimenting with.
Yeah, exactly that. So it's someone who was it who mentioned in the chat? That's
Hey Mike, not one video saying busy evening, but I managed to sneak away for 10 minutes. Thanks for joining us, man.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah, thank you for joining us. It's cool.
Okay.
The end is just said, I love pigments. I've just completed my collection of golden sofa flats. So yeah, golden sofa flats are a bit of a sore topic for me. I follow golden. I love golden. I really like golden paints. So I really wish I'd got on the sofa flat train earlier on, because I read about their announcement and they were just a bit too expensive, so I didn't invest in them.
What are the sofa flats?
So golden sofa flats are basically they're just an acrylic. They're just an acrylic paint, but they've got a leveling compound in them, so they dry quite flat. They're designed for canvas, as all golden paints are, but because they're matte and they're very flat, so they work really well on miniature paints. But they're about 15. They range in colours depending on which pigments they use, but sort of between 10 and 15 quid for a pot, something like that. The reason, however, they're not all pure pigments. A lot of them are, or they're about 50-50. Some of them are mixtures, so they're not quite as pure as, say, Chimera, which when they just use one pigment. So when you mix a color, you get really highly saturated. Whereas whenever you mix multiple pigments together, they sort of slightly desaturate. I really want to have a play with them, but it's I've yet to take the plunge. So but yeah, no, golden sofa flats look great. I say
the entire line was for $100. Whoa.
Yeah, they are expensive, and I think there's you buy 15. I mean, I think they're 15 milliliter pots. Well, no, they must be more than that. It must be 40 milliliters. Anyway, they're reasonably big pots, and like I say, Chimera I think are 30 mil pots, and I've had my Chimera set for maybe 2 years and about halfway through them at the moment. So the idea of using bigger pots is, I don't know. I have so much paint. I really have to rein myself in to stop myself buying paints.
Mostly I've taken to using artist acrylics, whichever is cheapest. But one thing I find handy about them is that I can just go into a shop, say, okay, I need, I don't know, ultramarine blue or phthalo green or whatever, and okay, yeah, here you go. Boom.
Yeah.
If you need, random dark angels green or snot green, it's like, first of all, the shopkeeper is going to look like, what?
Yeah, it's just exactly that. But if you can mix colors, then you can often make those tones. Because I bet 99% of people, if you painted something with phthalo green with a bit of, maybe just a little bit of blue to maybe add a little bit of interest to it, make it close to that dark angel green color.
Yeah.
And I bet when you paint that on the model, most people won't be able to tell, because most color comes from environmental lighting anyway. It's not about what color the actual model is, and everyone sees color differently anyway. So it's, that's the other cool thing about color. It's like color is literally just made up in your head. So it's really interesting. The end's just come back and said they're 60 ml bottles for golden sofa flats. So they are really good value, but it's they're slightly bigger pots because they're designed for canvases.
Yeah, so just a big upfront investment rather than getting replacement pots over time.
Yeah, exactly that. So it's something I definitely want to do. Like the scale 75, slightly heavier body. I'd love to try some of the heavy body acrylics. I use Golden's high flow acrylics quite a lot. I use those because they run straight through an airbrush, which is really nice. They're a bit glossier than you would normally expect, but that's useful in some ways. I use contrast paints a lot, actually. It's, a lot of people rain on GW paints, and because they've got the sort of stupid pots they come in, but actually, I think they're really great paints. So I really enjoy using them.
I think I haven't tried the contrast paints yet, but the shades are definitely some of the best I tried.
Yeah, yeah. Casandora Yellow is one of my favorite paints of all time. I really, really love that shade. It's so good.
The end. Making your own paints is the final ascension in the pigment game. Much respect to those individuals.
Yeah, definitely that. There's another little hobby niche about making your own. Basically, just going out and finding pigments and doing all this sort of stuff. Like I say, I don't know many, but like say making ochres and finding beetles and grinding them up and all this sort of stuff and boiling roots and yeah, there's some really cool ways to make pigments and make your own paints. We do it with the charity I run. We basically we basically add acrylic paints to chalk and make our own chalk paints, which is fun. Or we find we mix moss and stuff into grind moss up to make a sort of like a chlorophyll green color, and then mix that with chalk and water and make our own paints with that. And the kids really love doing that. So obviously, I wouldn't recommend painting paints with that, painting minis with that, but it works really well for painting rocks and wood and that sort of stuff in our woods. So yeah.
Dungeon Matron, I have to be careful about mixing warm and cool colors so I don't end up making mud.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah, it's yeah, like I say, it's the whole thing about pigments is when you're the weird thing about pigments, I think, is when you getting your head around how they work, so understanding the mechanics of them. So basically, pigments, the more pigments you add to something, the darker and darker and darker they get. So to make true black, you basically just, if you mix every color together and just keep piling and piling and piling on pigment, you'll eventually end up with something that's true black, because eventually every color spectrum you're looking at will be absorbed by that pigment, so it looks black. Whereas, so it works basically the completely opposite way that light works, which is really just so yeah.
The thing about true black is really interesting.
Yeah, definitely. So it's so yeah, like Vanta black and that sort of stuff, and which are like, because true black absorbs what we see, how we see things is about how we see reflections and that sort of stuff. So
yeah.
When you look at something completely black, it just looks like a hole in reality, which is just weird. It just really messes with you.
I don't think that doesn't really occur in nature, so I don't think we've evolved to deal with seeing that.
Yeah, exactly that. So they're not actually super useful when the really black paints. I don't think they're really useful when you're painting miniatures, because often they're not very durable. So it's they rub off really easily, and also, like I say, because what adds contrast is the difference between light and dark. So you don't have any difference between light and dark, so they've just become unreadable. So it's they just look like small black blobs. So I don't think they're very useful, but it's I'm sure there's specific things you can do with them. Maybe.
Again, I think it's more of an artistic choice rather than a tool for common use. Let's put it.
Yeah, 100%. But like I say, it's like anything with art. It's whatever floats your boat. If you think it's cool, crack on.
Yeah,
get on with
absolutely.
it.
Then again, I think it might be I don't know, might be an interesting way to paint up an entire I don't know, Harlequin army or something like that.
Yeah, exactly that. Exactly.
Or ninja army, it's all solid black, invisible.
Yeah, or maybe like an active camouflage type thing. So have so like that would look cool. So fading into complete black. Maybe some Vindicare assassins. Maybe that's what I'll do with the Vindicare assassin when I finally get it from Warhammer Plus.
Or what do they call the psychic assassins from 40k? The ones that have no soul, so that
are they Calexis? Are they Calexis? Is that
no idea.
No, the guys with the big heads. Is that the ones? Yeah. So the guys that look like they're from Mars Attacks.
yeah, they do.
Yeah, exactly that. So it's so yeah, what are your next videos coming up?
I have no idea yet.
So it's
like I said, I've got those 3 projects lined up. It depends on which one I finish first.
No, fair enough. It's, I'm hoping next week's will be. It'll definitely be something mental health related. Probably I think it's going to be about charity. So it's doing good things for other people, because a pretty cool thing happened recently, in that one of my subscribers got in touch with me, basically saying that, hi, I sculpt miniatures. Would you like me to make you a miniature? So I was like,
Hey, that's nice.
yes, that would be awesome. Thank you very much. And he made me. I made a video about squats recently. So he made me. I don't know if you can see that.
1 second.
Yeah, I can do that. There you go. Little dude with a hammer. Yeah, exactly. So it's basically it's a one-off sculpt this that my amazing amazing subscriber made for me. And so he absolutely refused to take any payment for it, wouldn't even accept payment for postage or anything like that. So in a sort of last ditch attempt to make him have some sort of thing in return, I said I'd paint something for him. So I've got a little model that he made again, but a pewter version of it. So I'm going to paint that up for him. And I've been asking over on my channel, like, what cool things have people done for you in the hobby? Because I know when I was first starting out in the middle of lockdown, I ran out of models. So I posted on Squidmar's forum, basically saying, listen, I've completely run out of models. I can't get any. Does anybody have anything I could buy? And this guy from Sweden basically said, oh yeah, I've got a Warcry box I'm not using anymore. I'll just send it to you. And he just sent me a box of Warcry. I don't know what a box of about 20 quid for the miniatures. Great. And he's saying, but the more I've been asking, more people have been chucking out all these stories about, oh yeah, when I was in here, this guy did this cool thing for me. So I'm going to do something about that. And, the positive feedback loop of doing good things for other people encourages good things, encourages community and all this sort of stuff. So yeah, I'll do something. I think I'm going to do something about that. But I might change one. I'm not sure.
I mean, that does sound like a good subject.
Yeah.
And another thing about even if even if it's not here, have a box of whatever it is. In the community in general, that I've seen at least, there are people who are always willing to help out.
I think that's right. Yeah, exactly that. So it's particularly, like I say, going back to Battletech again, I think the community is different again, slightly different again there. So it's like I was reaching out for just advice about how to get started and stuff like that, and people are like oh, use this card. Here's this resource you can use. Here's this website. Just people are really free with advice, and that's its own helpful thing as well. So it's yeah, no.
Yeah, and,
just generally, it's just nice to be part of the community, and I think most people in general want to do good things and help other people. I think that's generally the broad gist of it.
I mean, at the end of the day, what we do is mostly social. I mean, unless you're playing solo all of the time, then you do want to be around other people. So
I think so. The way I use it as a social thing as well. So it's I'm not so much interested in the gaming, more interested in the sort of just hanging out with people and talking about models and that sort of stuff. And that's cool. I enjoy that.
Speaking of, do you have any favorite models that you painted or things that you crafted or so?
Oh, do I have favorites? Yes. No, I definitely do have. I definitely do have favorites. Like I say, what have I done recently? I think probably my favorite one. Probably my favorite one that I've painted is this chap, and I'm going to go back and do a bit more on him actually, but and if you can see him,
I can't see him. I'm not quite sure. I'm not familiar with the model, but it looks very impressive.
It's actually by Chimera, that one actually.
Ah, all right.
So it's a chap called Ares. I want to say 75mm model. So it's basically a Greek god, it's part of their Greek god line. So he's probably the model that's I've invested most time in. He probably took about 80 hours to paint, something like that, because I just kept getting the metallic surfaces wrong and redid it.
Let me stop you for a second. It's just that I am in awe at your attention span.
yeah. Well, maybe, but it's I don't know, when I do a project, I really want to finish it. I have to say, I haven't spent that long on a model since I started making YouTube videos, because I just haven't had the time. And you do need to be able to sit down and paint for 8 hours or paint for 4 hours and just be able to just grind through it. And some of it does feel like a bit of a grind sometimes, but I think the rewards are all there. But another one of my favorite ones is Siggy. I've got a mostly unfinished model called Siggy, who is another large scale miniature, who I've made a couple of videos about now. So this is Siggy. So you can just about see her now.
Ah,
So
okay,
she's
yeah.
absolutely massive, and the armor is not in any way done, but her head is basically done. And so this is her head.
Yeah, I think I had a skin painting tutorial about her.
Yeah, exactly. So she's basically the best eyes I have ever done on a model. So it's just little things like that. I can look at the model and think, oh, the whole thing's not done yet, but I did her eyes really well, and I'll find something I really like about each model, or I really like the wings on that one, or oh, the claws look cool, or whatever.
Yeah, still that looks enormous. I mean, like that armor looks.
Oh, it's huge. It's ridiculous. It's bigger than a cricket ball or a hockey ball. It's ludicrously big.
Is that a bust or is there more to?
Yeah, it's a bust. It's a
Okay.
bust. I enjoy painting larger scale stuff. So it's I prefer painting large scale stuff to small stuff because I'm just not very good on small details. To be honest. I like having more room. I prefer painting large stuff. I don't know whether that's true in the chat or not. Whether people prefer most of the time when I make videos about painting large stuff in larger scales, it just doesn't really get watched very much. So I think broadly speaking, people are interested in painting small miniatures, but I don't know if that's true or not.
I don't know. What do you guys think? Speaking for myself, I don't really paint larger scale stuff because again, space. If I have to store something I painted, I prefer to have just the things I am actually going to use.
Yeah. No, fair enough.
On the other hand, I still watch large-scale miniature painting videos because there's a lot of stuff about texturing and fine detail which usually doesn't make it into small-scale videos.
Yeah, no, exactly that. And I think you can, like I say, you paint a model for 80 hours. There's no way I would make a video about, I might make two or three videos about that process doing specific things, which maybe take 15 minutes. But there's no way I could, condense an 80-hour painting process into a video. There's just the thought of it just brings me out in hives. But I might focus on here's how to paint, a leg or something like that in non-metallic metal or something like that. I might do a video like that. But again, there's so many amazing painters out there doing that really well that I'd have to do something completely. I'd have to do a different take on it to be, that'd make me want to put it out.
Okay, the end is asking, Rising Ape Minis, what's the nicest thing someone has done for you in your hobby?
Oh, probably the two things I've just talked about, to be fair. So loads of people have chipped in and done amazing things. Like Luke from Geek Gaming Scenics has gave me lots of advice about making videos. And like I say, I've had so much advice and help from various people. But like I say, someone making a model for me, that's the highlight. And that Warcry box, even though it's only a little thing, was just such a pick me up in when I really was feeling a bit flat. That I've basically fed off that for years since. So it's that's those little moments like that are definitely my highlights. How about yourself at the end? What's the nicest thing someone's done for you? And I'd be interested to know.
Okay, the end, Karl makes stuff, same questions here. I think going back to 1996, I would say, first contact with a gaming club, like-minded individuals. I'd known about the various hobbies for some time, but I had never actually met anyone who actually played. And suddenly you get a group of 30, 40 people who just basically adopted me. Here, I shall teach you the ways of this game, and this other game. And then, no, put that guy down, we're going to teach him how to build terrain, and stuff like that. So, things definitely escalated from there.
That's so cool, though. And like I say, as ever, it's not actually about the or this is just my opinion again, but it's not about the models or the rules or the law or anything like that. It's about the people behind everything.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
I just completely buy into that, and it's just it's about spending time with like-minded people, having a nice time, doing fun things, and that's what it's really about at the end of the day. It's nice to spend time on your own painting, but it's really nice to hang out with people, for me anyway.
Yeah, and another time was I want to say 9 years ago, maybe, I'm not sure. Time works. Time is funny right now. I had swapped a miniature with a friend of mine, and he was like, "Yeah, I mean, this is not a fair trade. Here, have all these other miniatures." And yeah, of course, I mean, it did expand the pile of shame a bit, but it was really nice of them.
Yeah, exactly that. And like I say, it doesn't even need to be a massive gesture. It can just be little gestures, that help. Just little things you can do for people can really make a difference to them. So I think it's really encouraging.
It's even stuff like simply being encouraging and helping and so on is really important. And I think okay, sometimes I get some flack for this because I tend to be rather, how shall I put it, blunt.
I can sympathise with that.
But giving people honest opinions, if they ask for them, is also really important.
Yeah,
because
I think so too.
Yeah, I think that's one of the best ways to help out of that imposter syndrome. Because as long as you know that someone is being honest with you and say, okay, this is mostly okay, but you really made a mess of this part. Or maybe you have a more diplomatic way of putting that. But, if you're ready to point that out, then when you tell someone, okay, no, you made this thing, it's really, really, really good, then they know that, okay, you really mean that, it's good, they can...
Yeah, I completely agree. Yeah, exactly that. So when I was painting Ares, one of the I was in the Chimera group, I think, and just posting for, this is what am I doing wrong? It looks weird. Help me, sort of stuff. And a couple of people were like, there were lots of posts saying, "Oh, it looks great, isn't it? Isn't it awesome?" I was like, I know it doesn't. So thank you. That I really appreciate the sentiment, but I know it doesn't. So but a couple of people came on and said, "Listen, what you're doing wrong is the light's coming from 15 different places. So you're coming from 15 different directions, and all the reflections are in the wrong panels. Do this and this and this and this and this, and then come back to me, and I'll give you more help." And then I did. I said, "Yeah, that looks loads better. Try this and this and this." And we just worked through it, and it was just And then because I was able to do that, I was able to then make it look good, and then I could see that it looked better, as opposed to just getting positive feedback, which, while nice, doesn't help usually.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to say something nice, at least you should have the courtesy to mean it.
Yeah, I agree, absolutely. You've got to do it in a nice way though, because some people, the internet's a bit unfiltered sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
I don't want it to be just like, this is trash. That's equally unhelpful.
I mean, if you're going to say that, then at least say why it's trash or whatever.
Yeah, exactly that.
So
just to come back on the end as well, it's I did see your community post actually. I think I replied to it as well. But and yeah, definitely that's really cool. That is really cool. You've clearly got a very cool girlfriend who can buy you nice brushes like that. So that's really cool.
Yeah, going on what you just mentioned as well is that being prepared to ask for help also means that you actually trust the community you're asking for help, which is also nice, I think. Exactly
that. I used to work in retail, and one of the things we were doing when we were training new staff is to say, basically, I used to work in aquatics, and we sold highly technical products about life support systems and stuff like that for aquariums and fish tanks and stuff like that. And when we got new staff in, we're often getting young teenagers working on the shop floor. And the one thing I used to say to all of them was like, it's okay not to know things, but whatever you do, don't try and blag that you do know something and give out advice if you don't know what you're talking about. Just just say I don't know, and then I'll go and get some help, or go and look it up in a book and work it out. You know, what's that fish? Don't lie and say it's something it isn't. Say, I'm sorry, I don't know. I'll go and ask some help. That's much more helpful in the long run. And it's the same for anything.
Here's this thing that will totally not kill your fish.
Yeah, exactly that. Exactly that. And it's so yeah, like I say, and it's the same. You know, you see lots of people giving out advice on forums and stuff like that, and some of the advice you're like, that is incredibly questionable advice. And see, I just think, you know, if you don't know what you're talking about, it's fine. You don't have to know everything. No one expects you to. So just you don't have to be the font of all knowledge. You just have to, you know, if you've got some good advice, give it. If you haven't got good advice,
oh yeah, totally.
That's absolutely fine.
Okay, Jagazor joined us. Hello, man. So, what do you say we jump over to Discord and have a look at what's in there?
Sounds good. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Okay, do I have sound again? I should have. Okay. Ooh, okay, we've got some.
Yeah, sorry, to sidetrack into fish. Fish is another little obsession I've got.
That's okay, this guy has a little starfish on his cheek, if I've seen correctly.
Exactly. He doesn't love octopuses.
Okay, so this is from Steve Spaderush, who we had on last week. And this is a little sculpt for the lobster pod game. I'm really loving the texture on that leather.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. I love that the desaturation as well. The tentacles. Normally you see tentacles painted like purples and pinks. I like seeing them in more natural tones as well. That's really cool.
Yeah, I mean this color palette is really his thing.
Yeah, it's lovely. It's really, really lovely. It almost looks like a Zorn palette, doesn't it? It's sort of like that, the reds and the browns. Yeah, really lovely.
Real nice work, man. Love that leather. Okay, Stefano from Chimera War Gaming. I'm guessing this is part of his Mordheim Circus of Chaos.
Yeah, Mordheim's got such a cool aesthetic, doesn't it?
Oh,
that's great.
The weathering on that wood looks spot on.
Yeah, the verdigris around all the air, around the metalwork looks spot on, doesn't it?
Yeah, Stefano is another great guy for these grimdark builds.
Yeah. Like I say, really, Mordheim's just there you go. That looks like more of it. Is that more of it?
Video over there too.
Okay.
Oh, the end. Let's see. Oh, I really like that OSL on the plasma pistol.
Yeah, I'm rubbish at OSL. That's much better than anything I've managed so far. That's yeah, it's really cool. There's something about Marines with jump packs that are just super cool. I don't know why they're so ludicrous, but yeah, I really love them. They're so cool.
You know, there was a time when I was playing Dawn of War on the PC.
Yeah.
I mostly play Blood Angels when I do play, so
yeah, me too. Definitely Blood Angel fan.
You're obviously
the sanguineous.
Sorry. So I was having fun with jump troops and jumping around, and after that, I think I started playing Company of Heroes, which is a World War II game.
Yep.
And for a few days, I was like, "But why are the paratroopers not flying back?"
Yeah, I know what you mean. Dawn of War is such a good game.
Yeah.
Such a good game.
I haven't played it in multiplayer yet, but
I've not played it in ages. Like I say,
it's years ago, yeah.
Yeah, pretty much the only thing I play on computer games these days is I play Beat Saber, and I play the odd bit of Battletech, and that's it. talking about Blood Angels.
Yep. Good old assault squads.
Yeah, nice. A little beaky as well. Love it. I'm really excited for the Heresy box. It looks really cool. So I'm definitely going to pre-order it. But it's but like I say, that could be the next Dominion. As it'll sit on my shelf unpainted. But we'll see. We shall see. I shall try not to let that happen.
I'm definitely going to sit that one out. It's like a bit too much for me, I think.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Fair enough. I say.
Yeah, I mean, with regards to the photography here, because Dian was mentioning problems with his camera or photography earlier. I don't really see anything wrong with it as such.
No, exactly. I normally take photos on black backgrounds or textured backgrounds, but that's the only thing I would do differently there. Like I say.
I mean, here, for example, the carriers look fine. You might want to add a little more lighting to the center.
Yeah, maybe more fill lighting down the bottom. So
yeah, but otherwise, it looks fine.
Yeah, exactly that. That's, sometimes if I'm going really, really heavy onto want to take really good squad photos and stuff like that, I'll do focus stacking. So like
so that everyone is in focus, yeah.
Yeah, exactly that. But it's really cool.
But then again, then you're talking into.
But then you're talking, advanced. You're not doing that on the phone very easily. So yeah, no, absolutely right.
I mean, I think what happened here was that Zane bumped up the color balance on this one.
Yeah.
Compared to this one, but even the original one is.
There's nothing wrong with it particularly. No, exactly. And it's amazing the amount of stuff you can do with Instagram filters and stuff like that these days as well. If you're into that sort of thing. All I tend to do with my Instagram these days is just I say I'll crush the brightness a little bit and put a vignette on it, and that'll be that. I don't mess around with colors too much.
Yeah, I mean normally what I do before uploading a photo is just literally color balance, and usually that's the only thing I do. Maybe cropping, but
I might crop it down actually to be fair.
But yeah, I mean, and again I love that lighting effect. Oh, okay, here's a work in progress of the octopus guy.
Oh, cool! He made all the tentacles and he made all the starfish as well.
So
in fact, the whole thing's made of Sculpey. He may have modelled the whole thing actually.
I think he did, yeah.
Yeah, that's incredible. Oh, I'm so jealous now. So jealous. It's well done. That's even more impressive.
Okay, Martin coming in. Ooh, okay. I think this is a little diorama he's working on. Yeah.
Is he making those out of scraps, or is he modelling it out? I can't quite make out. They look like some beads down the bottom, beads and rings and that sort of stuff. So that's fun.
Yeah, I think he was scratch bashing this.
Yeah, that's really cool. I love the mushrooms as well. They're great.
Yep, here there.
Yeah. No, they're really cool.
Nice work, everyone. This was nice. Okay, so let's see. There's an amazing better lighting. Yeah, I think focus stacking is a bit more complicated, I think, but not by much.
Yeah. If you've got something like Photoshop or GIMP or something like that, you can do. That's easier to do that sort of stuff in. But if you're just doing it on your phone, I wouldn't bother with focus stacking too much.
I think that's just for something either very large or with a large number of miniatures.
Yeah. Or if you like doing like if you want to do one particular photo, like if I was doing like something for a thumbnail that I needed to be like absolutely spot on, I might spend a bit more time on it. But for something like Instagram, I wouldn't bother.
Thumbnails. Yeah, that's another
YouTube joy. Someone said earlier in the chat actually about making lots of diverse content will draw in different audiences. I wish YouTube did work like that. I really wish it did. But it tends to be you make things slightly off niche and it just doesn't get views and doesn't get impressions because the way the algorithm works, it works out what your audience watches and pushes out videos according to that. And so if you make something outside that audience, it doesn't get watched, so it doesn't get pushed out. So you do end up the best way to succeed on YouTube is to double down and focus on specific niches, which is why you see channels that only do, say, tech reviews, or only do, until you get really, really big and get an audience and you get people watching for you rather than the content. Then it's YouTube can be a funny old beast like that.
Okay, Earthman Brick is asking, is the community showcase for current builds or projects? Nah, you can just put in whatever you like, really. Okay, Tentacles, yes, Tentacles appeared, so everyone is happy. Okay, so what's next for your channel, do you think, apart from the next video? Do you have any direction you're planning on going in?
I have so many videos I want to make at the moment. So many videos. It's absolutely disgusting how many videos I've got to make at the moment. So I've got a battle report I want to make about Battletech.
Yeah.
I've got a cool Battletech miniatures, are usually either 3D printed or they're metal from Ralpatha, or they are from Catalyst, the plastic Catalyst miniatures. So I want to make a video comparing all of those. There are a variety of paint videos. So I've just picked up the Dirty Down set. So I want to experiment with those and review those products. Okay. I've got a Battle Max review. I've got Redgrass Games products I need to review. And I've got about 4 mental health videos I need to review. I'm attending a painting workshop next week. So say again?
I said you've got this all planned well in advance. It's
oh yeah, exactly. It's just got so much I need to do. Thing I'm most excited about probably is I'm attending a painting workshop next week with Banshee. Alfonso Graldez, who's another amazing painter. So I'm attending a 2-day painting workshop with him, and I'm going to chat to him about inspiration and what inspires them and what motivates them to paint to a very high level. So I had a similar conversation with Francesca Farabi. I've had a similar conversation. I'm going to have a similar conversation with Banshee, and I'm hopefully going to have a conversation with Chris Sear, who's another amazing artist who's just released a Kickstarter, an art book Kickstarter. So I'm having a chat with him about inspiration as well tomorrow. So hopefully going to stitch all that together into something coherent. So
in your case, what is your main inspiration?
What's my main inspiration? I really love stuff that makes you feel things. So I like, I don't know, something that makes you feel any emotion. So if you can get, when you look at a model, even if it just makes you think, oh, that's cool. If you look at a model and then just look away immediately, you've sort of lost. I like people to look at it and go, oh, wow. You can sort of almost imagine something else going on outside the model. So I like dioramas. I like making atmosphere. I'm not very good at any of this, but that's the sort of, I like to be really creative with stuff, or try and be really creative with it, and do something a bit different. That's what inspires me. But it's I almost never execute that properly. But when I paint something, I want to do something different. I'm not interested in just painting up the same thing someone else has done.
Yeah, I imagine it.
How about you? That's a really good question. Sorry, I talk a lot.
Well, what inspires me?
What inspires you?
Yeah, to be honest, too many different things.
If you had to pick one, what would you say?
I can't actually give you an answer to that, because I might just see something or hear something, and yeah, that's a terrible idea. I'm just going to build it.
Okay. You'll have to, the muse will just grab you and you'll have to make something, sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the worst cases was when I was going to throw away some deodorant sticks.
Yeah.
I look at the ball and this would make a really cool miniature.
Exactly that. You get like a weird idea, like a little brainworm.
And I ended up building this.
Oh, cool! You made a beholder. Is that a beholder?
Yeah.
Yeah, great. That's cool. That's really cool.
So yeah,
I'll have to make one of those at some point. They're really fun.
A lot of fun. But that's the thing. I can't tell you. Okay, inspiration comes from here or from there, whatever. Because yep, that looks like a terrible idea. I shall do it.
That's fun, though. That's fun. I like it. I just find it. What makes people tick is really interesting. I think that's really interesting. So
Yeah, and
Dungeon Matrons just chat popped up in the chat saying it's why folk have multiple YouTube channels. Yeah, that's exactly right. I'm considering making a separate YouTube channel for my Battletech stuff for exactly that reason. So
yeah, I mean, I think the more you specialize, the better it works. I think.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely. Yeah.
So, what do you think about when you're planning something out? For example, when you were planning the NMM, the non-metallic metal on that miniature, do you look for reference images or do you just try to?
I started out just trying to envision it in my head and failed lots of times catastrophically because it turns out I am atrocious at remembering what metal looks like. So I almost always use reference images now. I'll just try and copy something in the hope that I will build a muscle memory into how, there's nothing, I don't think there's anything wrong with that whatsoever. If you're learning to read, you copy, you copy other people. That's just a different way of learning, in my opinion. So I would always use reference images, always.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Actually, I think it's a great skill to have to be able to, build up a list of reference images and then follow them to build something.
Yeah, I agree. It's a real talent. It's a real talent.
Yeah, because I don't have the discipline for that, and you end up nope. I'm just going to put stuff and do things and see how it turns out.
I think if you're going to try and paint something that looks a certain way, it needs to look that way. So you're going to try and paint metal, it needs to look like metal.
Yeah,
I think a lot of the mistake people make with NMM particularly is like they try and paint something that looks like it, sort of, but I don't think it looks realistic. So that's fine, but just paint it because it looks cool. That's fine. But if you're painting your own paint scheme, then it can look however you want. It doesn't need to look like anything. But if you're going to try and paint something that looks like something, like you're painting a face, you want it to look like a face
or something.
Yeah, exactly. It needs to look like the thing you're trying to paint it. But just because otherwise your brain is just so hardwired to recognize certain things, that particularly faces, that if you get it wrong, then it looks jarringly wrong.
Okay, Dungeon Matron, I got to run. Bon appetit.
Yeah, thank you very much.
So yeah, and that's mostly it. I think it's like one thing that really amazes me is when people are able to take reference images of completely different things and then stitch them together into something new.
Oh yeah, exactly that. I think it comes down to having enough of a tool set to be able to do it. Like say, you watch some of the amazing painters, and they've clearly just done it so many times, taking reference images or working with metals or they just know how these things work. And that's not because they just have some innate talent. It's just because they've done it a lot and they're really well practiced at it. And so they're able to just apply all that information to a new thing and make it look their own. And that's what I aspire to. Definitely. One day, maybe. Not this day. Not this day.
When you get to the point where you can make it look effortless.
Yeah, exactly. And then people will, can moan at me and say you make it look so easy, but I definitely don't make it. It's easy to make things look easy when you're editing.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, very good point.
So yeah, cool. No, I agree. I think we've covered everything. I'm sure I've witted on long enough about those stuff. So no, thank you for having me. It's been really fun.
Yeah, it's been nice talking to you, man.
Exactly that.
So we're running on to almost 2 hours here, so maybe we should wrap it up.
Yeah, I think we probably should. So it's how do you want to end? How do you want to end it? It's I'm never very good at goodbyes.
So well, that's not goodbye. You're coming back eventually, so more of this later.
Yeah, cool.
So in the meantime, next week we have Dr. Noel Buttigieg with food history and food culture history. So for all of you role-playing fans, it's bit of a world building stream next time. Or anyone who likes food really should be interesting.
Nice.
So
Depends on
James,
what food. I've not eaten yet.
oh, then off you go. I'm not going to keep you any longer. You need that fuel.
Yeah, absolutely not. No, thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
Thanks
If
for
anyone
coming
hasn't
over.
checked out the channel, do please. I think the link's up in the top of the chat, so do
Okay,
please go
I'm
and do
just
that.
going to drop it in here again before we leave, so that
Watch
no
all my
one,
videos. Put them on repeat. Like, it's all about that watch time, etc., etc.,
yeah,
etc.
give him some love and
Thank you for joining in the
likes.
channel. I really appreciate it.
Boom. Okay, there's the link again, so you don't have it. None of you have any excuses now.
No, thank you all very much.
Okay, thanks for joining us again, and thanks everyone for watching.
Cool.
Bye.
See you later.